And good morning, all of you who are out there. This is Wednesday. It's November the 2nd. I've been wanting to say Tuesday all morning, but it is Wednesday, November the 2nd. And it is good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning, America. This is Common Sense America, and I am Eden Hill. And I've just been having some fun this morning looking at everything that's happening in the news cycle, kind of chuckling to myself and what is actually happening in the news cycle. I was sitting here reading Twitter. And now that Elon is in charge of Twitter and he has fired all of his top people at Twitter, or all the top people at Twitter, not his people, it's been kind of fun to watch those be freed and given freedom of speech back to the people. So I absolutely love it. So I was getting all caught up in that. But you know what? We have a great day today. I am so excited to be celebrating this Wednesday with you. And you know what? We have some very powerful people coming to our show this morning. We have our weekly guest who has become our weekly guest, my dear friend, Melanie Collette. Money Talk with Melanie tonight. Go to 98.7 The Coast. She is on from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And you know what we're talking about today? We're talking about math and reading scores. And I was reading some of her and watching some of her commentary on Newsmax. She's on every Monday. And I said, you know what, kids, here's an equation for you. Kids plus COVID equals low test scores? Or is it more kids plus laziness equals low test scores? Or is it kids plus parents who don't care equals low test scores? Well, I'll tell you what, she breaks it down. She broke it down in the commentary on Newsmax. And so she's going to break it down for us at 9:05 this morning. And also in the second half, we will have Dr. Bonner Cohen. He is with the National Center for Public Policy Research. He is all things environment, all things energy, and all things international relations. And he's going to break it down for us in regards to what is ahead for the American people. You know, something that really got me excited this morning. Well, first, if you hear the sounds of freedom in the background, that is our Marine Corps who are out there training and practicing. And I am so honored to be able to hear that. There is no reason to say excuse our noise. There is no reason to say that. New Rivers says that over at the air station. I love the sounds of freedom. And for those who realize we are a week out from November 8th, do you want to keep your freedoms? Well, I tell you what, you better get out there and educate yourself on the candidates who are running to represent you in this next election. Do you want to keep your freedoms? Then you better educate yourself. There are a ton of people out there who are running and who are misleading. So you better make sure you follow who is running for your state house, your state senate, your local, your board of education, your board officials, and also those who are running for Senate and Congress. You better know who is out there running. I don't want to hear later from you guys that we didn't know. I've been giving you ample time. This show's been on 2 months now. And I've been educating you on a lot of different candidates. And I'll tell you what, we have some great candidates who are coming to our show next week, Election Day. I have some candidates, and I'm not going to tell you who they are yet because they are some very well-known candidates out there. Are they from North Carolina? No, because you know what? I have better luck getting other candidates from outside the state. I'm going to be frank with you on that one. So at the end of the day, no, they're not from North Carolina. This show may be in North Carolina, but this is a national show. And I have been bringing in a lot of different people from all over the country. And you know what? They are not from here. So anybody from the great state of North Carolina who wants to be on the show and get a last minute soundbite in on this show, you have a huge audience and we want to hear from you. But I'll tell you what, if you want to continue to hear the sounds of freedom and see our men and women supported in our military and not indoctrinated with the wokeness of the diversity, equity, inclusion, which is more important than recruitment, then you get up and you vote on November 8th. Don't vote early election. I don't believe in it. It's a farce, and you don't need to vote in early election. Go vote November 8th and make sure your ballot matters. Okay, that's my early monologue for you. Yes, I've had Zabar's cups of coffee too already this morning. And I'll tell you what, something else has got me fired up. Yesterday in the mail, I got my book on Everett Alvarez. He is going to be joining us on Monday. He is going to be talking about the upcoming 50th anniversary of the POWs in Vietnam. If you have not had a chance to read this book, please go to Amazon, pick it up. It's called Chained Eagle, and it's about Everett Alvarez Jr. He was the longest POW in Vietnam. The reason why I'm bringing that up to you this morning is because all next week is Veteran Tribute Week, and the candidates outside of the great state of North Carolina who are going to be coming to join the show. But the other reason is last night, I actually watched Hallmark Christmas, and I didn't watch Great American Community. And here's why. Hallmark Christmas was carrying this amazing story called Christmas Bedtime Stories. And it talked about Marine Corps. It talked about our military families, our military children, and it also talked about a POW. I'm not going to tell you the end if you haven't seen it, but next week, we are all about veteran tribute. We are all about our veterans and honoring them. And last time, if you haven't shook the hand of a veteran, if you don't live in a veteran community, reach out to one, because you know what? They're all around us. And I'm so honored to have Ev Alvarez come to the show. But as I'm heated up this morning, and my dear friend Melanie Collette, Money Talk with Melanie, is right here. Good morning.
Hi.
How are you?
Listen,
I'm wound up.
Thank goodness for my iPhone. I'm sitting at my desk, typing away. Boom. Common Sense America 905. I was like,
well, thank you. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. I'm riled up. I'm just like, don't get in my way. I am going to take some people out if they get in my way.
Don't get in the way of a riled up eating. I do not recommend it. No.
I am so wound up this morning. I'm wound up for our country. I'm wound up because we are a week out on elections. And I swear, people don't get off their tuchuses. This is a family show, but you know what I really want to say? You guys are going to lose your freedoms. Bottom line. That's
exactly right.
I'm sitting here listening to the Marine Corps do their training in our backyard of all the different fighter jets. And I'm sitting here thinking, I love to hear the sounds of freedom. We have got to keep conservatives, Republicans in office, not rhinos, please. No, thank you. Don't want a Republican in name only. No, thank you. I want to hear the sounds of freedom, people. And
that's right. And we need to hear them. We're in a very vicarious situation as far as foreign policy is concerned.
Yes.
And as far as our safety and security is concerned. If you think that a million gotaways, these are people who did not want to get caught. Coming across our border is not problematic, and 100 people, on the terror watch list is not problematic, then you're not thinking clearly. Mm-hmm. And we need to put a stopgap, where Biden and his cronies are making very bad policies that are bad for the United States. And our open border is just one of them.
Okay. All right. So I could talk about open border, but I know why we have you on here today. And that is kids plus COVID equal low test scores, or is it kids plus parents who don't care equal low test scores, or is it kids plus laziness equals low test scores?
Exactly. Kids plus laziness, kids plus parents who are not engaged. Parents are, and I hate not being a parent and commenting on this, but I can only go by how I was raised. And I can go by my 20 plus years of experience in education and dealing one-on-one with parents with various problems and various issues getting their kids to do their schoolwork. I can go off of that, even though I don't have kids of my own. And what I can tell you is that parents who are engaged, parents who have struck not an unhealthy fear, but a healthy fear, a reverence for their parents, make sure that their work is done.
Yes.
Period. Even if you're not home.
Yeah.
They make sure that their work is done.
Yes.
My parents both worked very stressful jobs.
Yeah.
And they were not home when we were doing our schoolwork. But you best believe when they got in that door, they wanted to see, okay, where's the homework?
Yeah.
And they looked it over to make sure. I mean, this was before computers. Now I'm dating myself. When I was doing my homework, but my stepfather would literally make sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed, and that my homework was neat and
Mhm.
properly done. Those are parents who care about your schoolwork. Now all you have to do is get on the computer. Now all you have to do is log on to an app to see how
Right.
many assignments your kids are missing. And
Right.
parents are just not doing it. And during COVID, parents were not holding their kids accountable at
Right.
all.
I mean, is COVID to blame for these low test scores? Because looking at the analysis and the national report card that you had talked about on Newsmax, this has been going on for a long time.
Yes, this has been going on for a long time. And what people don't talk about, if anything exacerbated this, it's the fact that schools use COVID as an excuse to pass kids who shouldn't have passed,
Mhm.
to not give them Fs, if at all possible, to not give them Fs. And students love this. Students know this, and they did what kids are prone to do and took
Mhm.
full advantage of it. I mean, you would have, as a teacher, you would log on and be looking at blank screens.
Mhm.
You would be looking at sometimes kids smoking, parents doing all kinds of crazy stuff in the background, um, kids who were watching siblings while they were during online school. And you can't, I mean, I understand that it was a very, you know, stressful time financially, but
Yeah.
your kid, online school does not mean that your kid doesn't have to focus. You can't babysit a toddler while you're doing online school. You
Yeah.
cannot do that
How did you see all of this? Well, how did you know all of this was going on?
because I could see it with my kids. I could,
No,
we
no, I
are,
mean, you were an educator, right? That's what I was
yes,
asking.
yes, because I was a teacher and I taught
Yeah.
during COVID. Yes.
Right.
I
Right.
taught during the lockdown.
Right.
I was teaching virtually. But the fact of the matter is that if you do your work
Mhm.
virtually, your teacher is right there with you. You can share your screen with your teacher. The teacher
Mhm.
can share their screen with you. They can talk to you. There's no reason why kids would not be able to pass doing
Mhm.
online learning, other
Mhm.
than they didn't
Mhm.
want to put the effort in. And nobody wants to talk about that.
I think you were scaring that lady behind you. I saw her looking in.
Oh, did you were able to see that?
Yeah, I saw her. She was just like,
Oh, you know what? My sunroof is open.
oh, she's probably hearing it all. Like, I really don't want to hear this morning.
Hmm. But my
Well,
sunroof is open. That's
maybe
probably what it is.
you're educating her. Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about this then. So, in 10 years, in 5 years, and as we are priming this next generation, and I sit here and think about my god kids and all the kids that my husband and I mentor, and I tell you what, when you, like I told you the other day, when you feed them a Coke and pizza, you get a lot out of them. But my concern is, are they the few that I see doing so well in school? Are they the ones that will carry the burden of the higher percentage of those who don't know how to do math and do not know how to read? Are they going to carry the burden of the fact that their peers want to dress up as dogs and cats versus learning? Are they the ones that are going to have to deal with this as they go on to university? How are we? So, is that a very small group of students who are going to be educated on actually education?
I would argue it's a very small group because another thing about what's going on in education, particularly public education, is that
Mhm.
the cheating is rampant. The cheating is absolutely rampant.
Mhm.
Um, Kids do not do their own work. And I really hate to say this, and I know parents are going to clutch their pearls, but straight A students are the biggest cheaters.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And
Yeah,
I'm going
I
to
know
tell you
you're
why.
right.
I'm going to
I
tell
know
you
you're right.
why I say this. No, that can't be true. No, it is because they're on to the game. They
Uh-huh.
understand that if they get their grade, if their grades are good, they can do whatever they want.
Right.
So they literally, they think teachers aren't paying attention. But these smart kids, even the honors kids,
Mhm.
they literally will assign, like whoever has the best subject, that
Mhm.
person does that homework for everybody. And then each person does one subject and then they share the answers with the other ones. Now, this doesn't work if you're not smart, right? But if
Right.
you're smart, this is good. This works perfectly. I mean, part of me kind of respects their entrepreneurship, if you will.
So they're
But
making money doing this, right?
no, well, they're not making. Well, some people do. There's websites upon websites. If kids have money,
Uh-huh.
where they can pay people to do their work. Oh, absolutely. There's tons of websites that will do that, that will do their work for you. There's apps that'll do your math for you. I
Mhm.
mean, like I said, so the cheating is really rampant. The other thing that is the problem is that we talked about them not being engaged, but there's no accountability. We've lowered the
Mhm.
standards on what constitutes an A.
Mhm.
So unless you're in an honors class, which is a tiny bit more, which is a bit more rigorous, if
Right.
your kid is not in an honors class, they're only getting graded not on what's right or wrong. They're typically just getting graded on whether or not they did the assignment.
So, what constitute as an A now?
Well, I'll tell you this. If a kid turned in an assignment and
Okay.
everything, if you were in the ballpark,
Okay.
you
Ballpark.
got you got 100.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding. I'm
That's
not kidding.
pathetic. That is pathetic. That kind of sounds like our president.
And so you wonder why you had that situation at NYU
Yeah.
where that those kids were saying that the class was too hard. That's why.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
why. Because
Oh
public
my gosh.
school because public school was super easy. That's why. You have the lack of graduation rate from colleges being really high.
Mhm. That's
That's
why.
because public school is super easy. I mean, I taught as an adjunct for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And many times I was like, how did you all make it into college? How?
Right. Right.
How?
So, are you now saying, should we consider for the betterment of this nation, put kids in private schools or learning pods
If you care about your kid, you should take them out of private school.
out of public school or
Out
private
of
school?
public school, rather. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just and from a spiritual perspective, it's a cesspool. I often tell people when you are in public school, it's like imagine like sending your kid to the mall unattended, where
Mhm.
you're out in public
Mhm.
and anything is liable to happen. Sex,
Mhm.
drugs, rock and roll, theft, anything that happens out in public where you have to mind your P's and Q's,
Mhm.
that's public school. Like,
Mhm.
because I worked in a public school, I couldn't just, people at, I think most jobs, right?
Mhm.
You have a locker for your purse
Right.
or, your
Right.
purse is in your office or something like that. And you don't worry about it. You can't do that if you teach in public school. And
Yeah.
you certainly can't do that as a public school student because the theft is so high. I explain to people, they talk about, schools that have SROs, the school resource officers.
Mhm.
Schools already had SROs before the school shootings started.
Right. Right.
SROs are there because of the amount of crime that happens in public school, the number of crimes that happen there. I mean, we suspend kids. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. I said, they suspend kids for having a vape, right?
Mhm.
For smoking weed.
Mhm.
Why are they not required to go into some kind of program
Mhm.
instead of getting suspended?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because they
Mhm.
could be addicted.
Yes.
So, and a lot of kids, I mean, I wouldn't say half the kids are high, but a lot of the kids are high.
Uh-huh.
And unless you can prove it, and now with the vape, it's that much harder as an educator. Unless you can prove it, like they have symptoms of being high
Mhm.
that are genuine, you can't even report that. Like you can't report it because a kid smells like weed.
Right.
Because there's a chance that their parents smoke weed. And they just come from a household where everybody's smoking weed. So like I'm serious. So
I
like
know
just
you are.
because you walk up to a kid and they reek of marijuana, you can't report them for being high just based on that.
Well, let me
It's a hot mess.
throw this at you. I was grateful to have two amazing faith-based parents. They laid a great foundation for my brother and I. But I'll tell you what, I went to a Christian school in my early elementary years, and then I went to a public school for the rest of that. And let me tell you, I got a better education at the public school than I did at the Christian school. Was it because I was just in a special situation, or is this how much our public schools have changed since then. I'm not going to say the date because I'm not going to date myself.
I would say it's a combination of things. I would
Okay.
say that the private school taught you resilience and discipline and the importance of academics. So school meant something to you.
Yes.
So you probably had a love of learning.
I did.
Right?
I still do.
That was established.
Yes.
And so do I. I'm the same way. And you had parents who were engaged and concerned and held you accountable.
You're right.
So you are going to be prone to learn under those circumstances.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are many, many students who do not have that at home. And we don't do academic accountability in public schools because the theory is that we can't hold kids academically accountable because they have lousy parents.
Right.
I personally disagree. Because to me, that what you're doing is you're just turning out generation after generation of uneducated kids.
Right. Something I learned the other day when I had Dr. Linda Lee Tarver on, and I wanted to throw this at you. She had mentioned to me that at a certain age, second or third grade, I forget which grade it is, the jail system will look at the reading and mathematics scores, and they will basically be able to preempt how many beds they need for the jail system.
Absolutely. Because there is a correlation between a lack of education and ended up in jail. But here is the thing.
Okay.
What we don't do is peel back the onion.
Okay.
It's not because they're undereducated. That's not the connection. The connection is, okay, well, why are they undereducated? What is it about why are they not learning to read? And there's two reasons. One reason is the parents don't care about their education, because there's no way in the world that you have a kid who can't read and you don't realize it as a parent if you're engaged.
Right.
The other part is the public schools will say, well, because you have a lousy parent who's not engaged and you may have a learning disability, we can't hold you back because of that learning disability. Now, private schools tend to address those disabilities and help them with those disabilities. They'll send you to something called a learning center and have you work one-on-one with a specialist that helps you with that learning disability or with organization or whatever it is that you are having an issue with. Public schools do not do that. They do not address the issues that kids have with becoming successful learners. And so because of that is why, in my opinion, that they end up getting in trouble. They end up getting in trouble because their parents are not mindful of who they're hanging out with. Their parents themselves have criminal backgrounds, and are involved in illegal things.
So at the end of the day, when we see how bad the math and reading scores plummeted post-COVID and are still currently treading in that space, do we blame the Department of Education, or do we go back to the very root, like we've been talking about, the very root of the home foundation, the very root of the fact that do we need to be servicing more for the public education space, or do we, what's the solution at the end of the day? Is it a combo of things?
It's a combo of things. In my opinion, it's a partnership. The partnership, the schools, public schools, part of the mentality is that we are the most important thing as the public school.
Well, we lost Melanie Collette, and I'm wondering if it's because, are you there?
Yeah, no, that's because I just got a phone call.
Oh, okay.
And
I was gonna blame it on censorship.
No, it was my boss. I should probably wrap this up.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
But I'll call him back in a minute. But
okay.
But no, I think it's a combination of things.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a partnership. Public schools lead people to believe that we can do it all. Well, we can't. Public schools don't measure learning. They measure success as to whether or not we can justify moving you from one grade to another.
Gotcha. Yeah. On that note, I'm going to let you get back to work. Thank your boss. If you need a note, I'll write one for you.
No, he'll be fine. I'll call him right back.
Okay. Hey, this is Melanie Collette, host Money Talk with Melanie. Tonight, she will be on Wednesdays from
Yep.
7 to 9 p.m. You can see below. Follow her at NJGOP Diva or at Money Talk Mel. Go to 98.7 The Coast. You will see her tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you later. Thank you for everything. Have a great day.
Yep, you too.
All right, bye. And for all those who are tuning in, it is just about 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It is Wednesday, November the 2nd, and we are less than a week out from Tuesday, November the 8th, and midterm elections. But you heard it straight from Melanie Collette, host of Money Talk with Melanie and Project 21 member. You heard it straight from her. There are many ways that we can help the next generation with their education. The scores have plummeted, and it's not because just of COVID. Where is the parental interaction? Is it also the children not being held accountable? It's a combination of things, and we should not always look to the Department of Education. But I tell you what, I am looking to the current administration that we have and the current Congress that we have and the current Senate that we have. And you know what? They are definitely not heroes to be emulated, and they are definitely not those who we should be looking to, because they have definitely betrayed this nation on so many different levels. And so, you know what, parents, we need to rise up. Tomorrow we will have Tamara Farah with Freedom Works, and she is going to be talking about BEST and the parental rights that those in Florida and those around the nation are rising up. They may be a minority, but you know what? At the end of the day, they are fighting for the education and not the indoctrination of our students. And that is what it really comes down to, people. That's what it really comes down to. So on that note, we're going to take a quick break. And at 9:40, Dr. Bonner Cohen with the National Public Policy Research Center is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking all things on the table. But before then, we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to tell you some fun news. I'll be right back. And we are back. Thank you for joining Common Sense America. I am Eden Hill. If you have not subscribed yet and you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, go to my YouTube channel at Common Sense America with Eden Hill. I tell you what, we have some great things planned, and yet I got just another great confirmation. We are going to be having another Vietnam veteran join us in Veterans Tribute Week next week. I hope you will tune in. We're going to be doing a lot of promotion and publicity around that, but I really hope you will tune in. We have so amazing many American veterans. We need to honor and pay respect to these amazing American veterans. So I hope you will join us next week. It's going to be so exciting. I cannot wait to sit down and have such great conversations. And yes, I have another update. So starting Sunday, 1 p.m., WHIG TV, I will be posting the link, will be Common Sense America, Eden Hill on TV. I'm going to the TV spectrum as well as staying here weekdays with you from 9 to 10 a.m. weekdays. I am looking forward to doing this TV show. I'm thankful to all of those who gave me and put this opportunity in front of me. And most of all, I'm thankful to God for giving me the opportunity to speak, to expose, to talk about the issues, to bring truth, God, family, and country to you and to the TV audience. It's a huge audience every Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. This Sunday, they are going to be playing one of my shows, and I will let you know who they're going to be choosing. We have a lot in the hopper, and I'm so excited. So we're going to be teasing that more and more. Also, don't forget, live from my living room here, we are going to be doing Christmas decorating, tree decorating, Christmas cookie recipes, talking about traditions of the holiday season. And you know what? My whole house is being packed up with fall decor, and the Christmas pieces are coming out. My husband loves me very much, but every year he knows when he has to bring all the trees down. And so we are headed into that mode. I'm excited to welcome you into my home. I am excited to stand on that tall ladder and start decorating. I'm excited for you to meet Salika Gonzalez. She's a military spouse, a Marine Corps military spouse. She is a virtual executive assistant, and she's going to be sharing some of her family traditions with her and her daughters as they prepare for the Christmas season as well. So I'm excited for you guys to meet her on Friday. Don't forget, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time Friday, it will be a Christmas season special of decorating the home, sitting by the fireplace. And I did look at the weather. It is going to be high of 80 on Friday. So I have asked in advance to put the air conditioner down to 69 so I can wear my favorite Christmas red sweaters to decorate, so sweat will not be pouring off me in the middle of November. So on that note, that is what's going to be happening this week. Also, I wanted to let you know, I posted on the comment section of the Facebook feed. I did post that New Bern, the city of New Bern, which is about an hour and 15 minutes from where we are here on the coast in eastern North Carolina, they're going to be hosting the United States Capitol Christmas tree on Saturday, November the 12th. It is one, to honor the veterans, and it's two, to basically get ready for the holiday season. It was posted on City of New Bern Instagram page. And I'm going to read this to you. I found it yesterday. I shared it with my Bible study ladies, and I just thought it was the best thing ever. The United States Capitol Christmas tree will visit New Bern on Saturday, November the 12th from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark your calendars now, because we will honor veterans and celebrate the upcoming Christmas season at this special event with all kinds of fun. This is the first time in nearly 25 years that a tree harvested from North Carolina has been chosen as the Capitol Christmas tree. And also they talk about where you can meet. The event location is Union Point Park in New Bern. And that is, again, that is Saturday, November 12th. As you all know, next Friday is Veterans Day, November the 11th. So that was really special to see that. And also, I didn't really get to finish the story, the Hallmark Christmas story that I watched last night. I'm not going to ruin the ending, but if you guys get a chance, no, I am not promoting Hallmark. They have definitely gone down a different cultural path than I agree with. But this story, Bedtime Christmas Stories, was an amazing, well-written movie. And how they depict our Marine Corps, our military families, our military children, and just those experiences that spouse and that child were going through, waiting and being told that their Marine was not coming home, but deep down they knew otherwise. And so it's just a beautiful story, and it honors our military families and honors our military children as well. And it's just so beautifully written. I hope you will get a chance to sit down and watch it. They obviously play them over and over and over again on the weekends, and they're doing a lot of new ones, but if you watch one this season, watch the bedtime Christmas stories. It's a beautifully well written Hallmark Christmas movie. Also, make sure you download Great American Community app for your phones. It is what I call the new Hallmark, and you are going to be just so inspired by the faith and the family productions that they are putting on this holiday season. I believe they have 18 Christmas movies that they are airing between now and Christmas. So if you have a chance, download the app. You can go on there and get recipes. You can go on there and hear personal stories. One that really just gravitates to me and really speaks to me is Danica Keller's story. She was Winnie on the Wonder Years. She was over at Hallmark with Candace Cameron, and then they both went over to Great American Community and Great American Christmas. And Danica talks about how she grew up in a home that was morally and ethically correct, and they went to church, but she never had a relationship with Jesus. And I absolutely love how I think she said in the past year, she has just uncovered her faith. And thanks to Candace Cameron and her ministering to her. So to all of you out there, wherever you are, wherever you live, whoever you work with, you have no idea how you could be ministering to somebody. They are watching you. They watch your reactions. They watch how you walk. More than anything, if you get anything from this show and you are washing dishes or you're driving to work or you're getting the kids on the school bus or whatever, and you're listening, but you're tuning in, tuning out, because I do that with my podcasts, as my other podcasts that I listen to. If you get anything, remember, people are watching you in the sense that they respect you, they are looking to you, and they're expecting the very best from you. But more than anything, being salt and light to a very, very dark world that we live in, we can be that light to those people. And so just always remember and look around you and just kind of keep in check and be present in that moment. And I'm speaking to myself because that is very hard for me to do sometimes, being present in that moment. And I'm grateful for my husband holding me accountable. I'm also grateful for my Bible study and all of them that just really kind of keep me in check with being present. Sometimes it's just so hard to do. We're scrolling through our phones. We have the TV on in the background. The phone is ringing, and there's 10,000 things that need to be checked off that list. So just being present and being aware, and just our actions do speak louder than our words. Another thing I wanted to mention, as we head into Thanksgiving, we are going to do holiday prep. We are going to be talking a lot about family traditions, our faith, reaching out to the community. And hopefully, I have reached out to 2 missions. One is a national mission in New York City that I used to work for, and I believe they will be able to come on Thanksgiving week. The other, we are going to be having hopefully a local mission I've reached out to as well, talk to us about what their needs are during the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. So we're going to be focusing a lot on the human side of things once this midterm election is over. We're going to be focusing on how we can give back. We're going to be focusing on how we can get ready for what is ahead, and that is the new year ahead, 2023. So many things to be thinking about, so many things to be preparing for. But more than anything, activating yourself, empowering yourself, engaging the community, and getting involved. On that note, I'm going to take a quick break and get our next guest set and ready. I'll be right back. I hope you guys are doing great. Grab another cup of coffee because we're going to have a great conversation. Thank you. We'll be right back. And good morning. We are back and we have Dr. Bonner Cohen. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and I hope you are too.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for joining the show. This is Common Sense
Delighted to be
America.
here.
Oh, it's so glad to have you here. For everyone who's tuning in, it is 9:41 a.m. Eastern Time. It is Wednesday, November the 2nd, and we are less than a week from midterms. And you are tuning in to Common Sense America. And we have a guest for the first time joining the show, Dr. Bonner Cohen. He is Senior Fellow for the National Center for Public Policy Research. What a great honor to meet you. You came to me highly recommended from the team at National Center, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, and we have some interesting things to talk about this morning.
We do. So let me kick it off with this article. So at the National Center for Public Policy Research, where you are a fellow, I noticed that you had written an article in the Daily Caller. And one of the quotes I wanted to read was this: "At stake is more than just the financial security of pension plans for state employees. The political agenda pursued by investment houses such as BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard are increasingly being seen as posing a threat to a way of life for people far removed from Wall Street boardrooms." That is a packed quote. Can you break that down for my audience?
I'd be happy to. I'm sure most of our listeners and viewers have heard of something called ESG, which stands for Environmental, Social, and Government Investing. And this is a scheme whereby very deep pocketed investment houses located on Wall Street direct funds to political in what we can call political investments. They believe, for instance, that all investments into fossil fuels should be cut off as soon as possible, and instead, money funneled to so called green energy. These would be investments in wind turbines and solar panels and the like. The problem with all of this is politically driven investment
Right.
with the goal of drying up the flow of capital to certain industries deemed politically out of favor, in favor of industries, most of which, by the way, are propped up by U.S. taxpayers, which are politically in favor. Uh, the losers in all of this are the people whose funds are invested in ESG because they pay a very lousy return.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we have here is a scheme that does not benefit the vast majority of the people in the country for two reasons. First of all, the energy sources into which the money is being invested will never meet the demands of a sophisticated economy like our own. It's simply helping to prop them up. And secondly, a lot of states have money invested for their state employees. It's their pension funds. And what happens is their pensioners stand to lose because the money is not being intelligently invested, which means that when they retire, they're going to get less money than they otherwise would. It's a gigantic scam. Again, it's being politically driven, and it has absolutely nothing to do with sound investment.
And may I ask you, I am just seeing the top of you. Can you lower your camera a little bit? Or can
Oh,
you?
sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. There you go. That's
Is that
better.
better?
A
All right.
little bit, just a little bit more, because I can hear. Perfect. Perfect. That's
There we
great.
go. Yes, I can see myself.
That's great. Thank
All
you.
right, there we go.
That's much better, much better. So let me ask you this. So, how can we prevent this from continuing to happen? Is there a simple answer to this, or is this going to be a breakdown over time?
I think it's going to take some time. However, some states are already doing so. Recently, the states of Louisiana and Missouri
Mhm.
announced that they were pulling their funds from BlackRock. Now,
Mhm.
BlackRock is an 800-pound gorilla. I'm sure our viewers are familiar with it. It's a huge investment house with
Mhm.
$10 trillion of funds,
Mhm.
and Louisiana is pulling 734 million dollars out of it,
Mhm.
and Missouri 300 million. And I fully expect other states to do so. In
Mhm.
fact, the attorneys general for
Mhm.
18 states in August sent a letter to
Mhm.
BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, informing him in no uncertain terms that unless he changed his ways, which I doubt he will, that they too will see to it that
Mhm.
their investors, meaning their pension funds, are safely invested, which means they will not be invested in ESG funds.
Mhm.
That's one thing we can do. The other thing is something that individual investors who are listening to us this morning can do. Check with your financial advisor and
Okay.
see if by chance
Okay.
your money is invested in these ESG funds.
Okay.
And if it is, get
Okay.
on the phone and tell your financial advisor, I want out. I don't want anything to do with this.
Mhm.
It's,
Well, let
it's,
me
in essence, you're supporting the Green New Deal and
right.
all of the horrible things that are in store for us in terms of higher energy prices in the years to come.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you this. What other states do you see pooling pretty quickly? Do you
I
see
think pretty quickly you will see Texas,
Okay.
you will see Oklahoma,
Okay.
you are liable to see Tennessee, I
Okay.
think Kentucky. And the interesting thing about this, some of these states, such as Texas and Oklahoma, for instance, are and Louisiana for that matter, are fossil fuel producers.
Right.
And you can certainly understand why they would do this, because ESG investing, along with the Biden administration, is absolutely determined to destroy the fossil fuel industry and replace it with windmills and solar panels. Yeah,
Right.
good luck with that. However, other states, Missouri, for instance, doesn't have one. Tennessee really doesn't have one either. But uh, state officials there are clearly concerned because they have a fiduciary responsibility for the
Mhm.
funds that they manage, that those funds are invested intelligently. So
Mhm.
I fully expect in the months to come, if not
Mhm.
in the weeks to come, that you'll see a whole host of other states. North Dakota is a prime example,
Okay.
perhaps Arkansas, Alabama, South Carolina. They will pull their funds out too.
You know, you I'm seeing a pattern here. And it seems as though it's more southern and western states than anything in the north. And you didn't I live in North Carolina and we have an empty suit as governor right now. And so, and I can say that. This is my show so I can say that. You know.
Right.
So, is it is there a pattern that it is more southern conservative thought that is pulling you named a lot of conservative states. Is that a trend? Is that a pattern that
I
I'm
think it is. I
Okay.
think the states that are least likely to
Mhm.
wise up to ESG investing are the states, for instance, in the Northeast,
Mhm.
absolutely none of which produces any energy whatsoever worthy of the name,
Mhm.
other than a few solar panels and proposed wind turbines. Other than that, they do nothing. And by the way, as a result, either they don't have the resources themselves or they have kept natural gas pipelines from
Ah,
pumping natural gas into their region, natural gas which they're desperately going to need this winter.
yes.
And the political class there has set these people up for failure.
Yes.
Uh, you have the absurd situation where, in, say, the state of Massachusetts or the
Yes.
state of Connecticut, can't get natural gas pumped in from nearby Pennsylvania, which has enormous natural gas resources. So where do they get the natural gas? They have to import it from elsewhere. In other words, the money goes abroad. It doesn't stay here in the United States where it should. So I think you're absolutely right. Those states whose ruling elites are
Yes.
absolutely committed to the climate agenda, the usual suspects: California, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, uh, all of New England.
Mhm.
These states are probably going to keep their funds invested in ESG, and that will greatly harm their own pensioners, both present and future, as well as solidify their commitment to green energy. And these people are going to be paying a terrible price for green energy because wind turbines and solar panels cannot power a sophisticated, energy intensive economy like our own.
Mhm. Well, I grew up in the great state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And, Pennsylvania is not very far from Massachusetts and
Not at
Connecticut.
all. Mm-mm.
And so for us to export it, to get it back, that makes no sense whatsoever. Where is the common sense in any of that?
Absolutely none, whatever. One of the people chiefly responsible for lack of a natural gas pipeline to New England that could take natural gas from the Marcellus Shale, which underlies parts of Pennsylvania, to New England was
Mhm.
none other than the former governor of New York, one Andrew Cuomo. Yeah. And
Oh
when
my gosh. Oh,
right,
what a
and when
joke.
Cuomo wasn't
What a
sexually
joke.
harassing his female staffers, he did find time to block the construction of natural gas pipelines that would have to go through New York into New England. So that was his contribution to the very cold winter and the very high prices that a lot of people are going to be paying this winter, including his fellow New Yorkers.
Yes, yeah, the fellow New Yorkers. So let me ask you this, and this is more midterm terminology, midterm questioning. You have Zeldin and Holcomb. What are your thoughts on those opening back up? I mean, obviously, Kathy was going to say whatever. She doesn't see any crime issues in the city. She doesn't see crime anywhere. I don't know what she's looking at, but she's not. She has no common sense in her fiber of her being. But if for some reason, I would love to see Zeldin get elected to the governor's seat. So if that does happen, do you foresee that those lines being opened back?
Sadly, no, for the simple reason
Okay.
that the New York General Assembly will
Okay.
probably stay in a control under the control of Democrats.
Okay.
And so Zeldin, if he does win, will be battling them for the next 4 years.
Okay.
These people are deeply committed to the entire green agenda, irrespective of the very predictable consequences that agenda will have for their own constituents.
Hmm.
So I'm afraid it's not going to happen. I hope I'm wrong, but
Oh,
I'm afraid it's not.
I mean, for all of them up there, I wish I wish we were wrong. I wish that would not be the
Well,
case.
it may take a few very cold winters and extremely high energy bills to get these people to wake up and smell the coffee and realize that they're being sold down the river by the people who rule over them.
Yeah, the authoritarian state is what I call it.
Right.
Yes. Well, talk to me about what you have coming down the pike. Talk to me about being the senior fellow at National Center for Public Policy Research. I mean, I've been looking through your work. Talk to my audience a little bit about what we can expect from you in the coming weeks, especially as midterms less than a week away. Are you going to be writing anything specific to the turn of the tide, the red wave, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, as a 501c3 organization, we can't get involved in
Oh, that's
electoral
right.
politics.
That's
Yeah.
right. I just had to throw it out there, though.
That's right. But I can tell you that irrespective of the outcome of the midterms, energy is going to be a major topic
Mhm.
in the years to come, and one that we will certainly be addressing head on. Unfortunately, the Biden administration is absolutely committed to a green agenda, and what it has incredibly done is it has done away with the energy independence that we achieved in 2019 and 2020, which when I say energy independence, that means we were exporting more energy, oil, natural gas, and coal, than we were importing. That means you are independent. And now we're moving to what Biden refers to as the great transition. He called it the incredible transition. Well, that's incredible, all right, because having freed ourselves from the shackles of being dependent on Mid-Eastern energy, made ourselves energy independent. Now we're going to be dependent primarily on China because it is China that controls the natural resources that go into wind turbines, that go into batteries, including the batteries that power the electrical vehicles, which is another boondoggle, that the Biden administration wants to crowd the roads with. They also control the materials that go into solar panels. So, what are we in the midst of doing? We're making the disastrous geopolitical mistake of making ourselves dependent, increasingly dependent for our energy on our chief geopolitical rival. Makes absolutely no sense.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There's no common sense there, but it looks like Biden basically has just handed over the United States to China. That's what it looks
Oh,
like.
yes, yes, he has.
I mean, that's
Absolutely.
exactly it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sharing earlier with our audience that my husband and I live by Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. We live by Fort Bragg. We live by Cherry Point. We live by Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. We have the Coast Guard right in our backyard, and we hear the sounds of freedom. And I said to my audience, if you have not educated yourself, I can talk. You don't have to worry about saying anything because I know you're a nonprofit. But I was saying to them, I said, if you have not educated yourself on what is happening in our nation right now, you need to, because otherwise those sounds of freedom are going to be gone. And it's already in the hands of China because of what Biden is doing. He is turning his head against us.
The whole global warming debate, now
Mhm.
it's called climate change,
Yeah.
I can assure you has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the climate. The climate is serving as a pretext. The environmental movement and the people who support it politically and financially recognize couple of decades ago that once you get control of energy, you get control of the people who need and use energy. This is all about control. Top down control has nothing whatsoever to do with the climate. As a matter of fact, we're living in a remarkably stable climate. We're in an interglacial period, which means we're living between the last ice age and the next one. So enjoy it, folks. And bear in mind, don't ever confuse the reason with the pretext. And what they're doing here is they're using, well, we need to protect ourselves from rising sea levels and every other incredible the horror story that these people have ginned up. It has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with that. But they must scare us to death
Yes.
to
Yes.
get their agenda
Yes.
imposed, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they will say anything to that
Yes.
end.
Yes. On that note, Dr. Bonner Cohen, I have loved having you here. A fascinating conversation. You have got to come back to Common Sense America. We
I'd
are
love
just
to.
about at the hour, and I am so glad to have your intelligence, your common sense, and your love of country here on this show. Thank you for being a
Thank
senior fellow at National Center for Public Policy Research. Many blessings to you. I would look forward to seeing you soon, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I look forward to it too. Thank
All
you.
right. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
For all of those who are tuning in, this is Common Sense America. I am Eden Hill. Wow. Oh, he is just a phenomenal human. You know what? Thank you for the comments. Mr. Cohen is very knowledgeable and interesting, right on about climate and green policies. You said it. You said it. On that note, for such a time as this, I am riled up this morning. You know what? Get out there, get educated, empower, connect, lift somebody up today. Be strong and be courageous. I will see you tomorrow, Thursday. Tomorrow is Thursday. We have made it through half the week. We have Tamara Farah with Freedom Works. You do not want to miss this segment. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a great one.